Now that's a sneak peek, folks. We are talking about voting. Welcome to Up to Speed Live. We've got a jam-packed show. You saw a snippet of a video that we are about to see later in this episode, but I want to welcome all of you. We're going to be talking about voting. Huge election coming up. And of course, democracy and making our voices heard is something we've been talking about all summer long. So we'll continue that with some big news from Christy. We have a network update as well. But first, we begin with some news we are making today. Let's talk about ZenKey. In particular, let's talk about passwords for a minute. Like perhaps you're hearing about ZenKey today. It's a password manager, a joint venture with the three major U.S. wireless providers. If you can hear my dog barking, she hates passwords too, at least remembering them. ZenKey improves security for sites and their customers, all while reducing the need for extra passwords and one-time passwords as well. So today we announced this network-based identity solution is now live on several major apps and websites, including our Verizon MyFiles mobile app. So congrats to our V-teamers helping to make news with ZenKey today. You're going to hear more about what's making news as Katie reviews a big week for us tomorrow as far as news is concerned on Friday's Up to Speed. So look for that tomorrow. Let's talk about Hurricane Sally for a moment. You've seen the pictures. You've read about the news, the rain, the flooding. Let's take a look at some of the video that we're seeing here down in the Gulf. This video is incredible. Just take a look. I mean, the rain coming down. You've heard 4 months of rain in 4 hours. Those types of statistics, and you can just see the power of Hurricane Sally. This is actually video in Gulf Shores, Alabama. There, the wind, the rain. Obviously, we're thinking about the people down there, and of course, we have our network teams there making sure that our loved ones are staying connected. With that in mind, let's introduce Jeff Plowman from our network team to give us an update on the network. Jeff, you see that type of video and your heart goes out to the community, but also thinking as a network team member, there's a lot to do. So please give us an update.
Sure thing. And yeah, Andy, as you pointed out, quite another powerful storm, right? We've got back-to-back strong storms hitting the Gulf Coast now at this point. So, where this storm is concerned, we started staging days in advance. We were lucky in that we had all of our portable assets nearby anyway as a result of Laura. But our Verizon response teams were in the impact area for Sally, days before it hit, and we've been in contact with local government, state officials, staying in touch with them to make sure that we're supporting their needs throughout. Yesterday, we spent the day making sure our employees were safe. We were working through, priorities as we visualize the impacts taking place in the area. We dealt with our infrastructure providers yesterday, and we talked about those priorities, and we talked about and lined up the resulting work that we're going to do today. So early this morning, our teams hit the ground. Our infrastructure providers have hit the ground. We're all working on those priorities right now, and we're running hard to make sure that we take care of our customers and the first responders that are out there right now. So significant progress already today, I'd like to report. Going well.
That's wonderful to hear. And of course, we'll be thinking of our network team. We'll be thinking of you and your team. And as we see those images, we know that it is so critical to stay connected during times like these. So, Jeff, thank you so much for that update. And as Jeff mentioned, our Verizon response team is there. Let's take a look at some of the pictures from that team there. You can see, it's not raining, but obviously there's a lot of damage there. But our teams are out there and our trucks are out there, and they are making sure trucks like that you're seeing right there, they're providing the support for connectivity, charging phones, reaching out to our customers, making sure that they stay connected with loved ones, so crucial during a time like this. So our thanks to our Verizon response team. As I mentioned, this show is jam-packed. We are talking about voting. We've got all kinds of news, big news from Christy, who'll be joining us in just a moment here. But honestly, I feel like I could use like a co-anchor today because there's just so much to talk about. And I was like, there's somebody I had in mind. Before COVID happened, there was an Adfellow colleague of ours, Raquel Wilson, who actually joined our team for a moment and really sort of helped us really solidify and shine the Up to Speed taped episodes before COVID. So let's roll that video there. There's Raquel. And I was thinking, Raquel went on to join another team through Adfellows. And then somewhere along the way, she actually joined our team again. And I was looking back at these videos and I thought, Raquel would be the perfect person to help us with this episode. I'm just wondering, I wonder what Raquel is doing these days.
Andy, I'm back.
Raquel!
Dynamic Dumo has returned.
Yes. Thank you, Raquel. And thank you for humoring me with that strange setup and introduction. But welcome to Up to Speed Live. Thank you for helping me. We've had some good times, on the show before pre-COVID. But here we are, and we're still connecting digitally. Raquel, what do you think? We're talking about elections. And, obviously, Christy's going to be joining us, but this is an important time for all of us.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be talking about elections, especially from the Gen Z perspective. This will be my second time voting, and I remember my first. Very important. And it's not all about Gen Z. This is a very multi-generational effort, and we're going to highlight the people and voices today that will be making a difference.
Sounds awesome, Raquel, and thank you. And I'm jealous. I wish I was Gen Z. I think I barely make millennial, but that's for another conversation. Hey, before we get to Christy, in case you missed it, our Yahoo News team, along with our Up to Speed teammate Diana Alviar this week, hosted Count Us In. It's a panel discussion featuring Latinx thought leaders discussing the importance of the census and our upcoming elections. So make sure you check that out. And with that, let's introduce our HR leader, Christy Pambianchi, back here again for the second day in a row. Christy, how are you?
Andy and Raquel, great to be here with you today. Great to be here with all the V-teamers that are watching. And Jeff, really great to see and hear all the hard work our teams are doing on the front line at Storm Sally. I wanted to just start, Andy and Raquel, and give everybody just kind of a COVID update in general. I haven't been on in a few weeks to just talk about what we're doing there. I know you've heard from Hans and other VLC members along the way, Joe Russo. I wanted to just mention first and foremost, we as a VLC could not be more proud of the V team. We have, through all the things that have faced us this year, whether it's the hurricane we're dealing with this week, derecho, the wildfires, the hurricanes that have preceded this one already just in this last month and a half or so, on top of COVID and on top of all the work we're doing to support racial and social justice, this has just been such an unprecedented year, and we are absolutely living our credo about running to a crisis, putting our customers first, and serving society. So I feel very lucky to be here on behalf of the VLC to really just give a mega thank you to all the V team. And I think as we head into the fall, we knew that people had a lot of questions on their mind and what was going to happen with COVID. And so we came forward in the middle of August and said, we're going to continue these operating norms through the end of the year. And so we think that that's been really important so that our V-teamers could have some stability and plan for all the things they need to take care of in their lives as we balance working and living with COVID. And I think we continue to hear more and more reports of the fact that this is really something that will be with us as a society well into 2021. And actually, Joe Russo, as you know, who runs the network operations team, as well as business continuity, working with me on crisis response, we made the decision in August that we would actually stand up some centers of excellence so that we had teams that would work full time on supporting the V team through COVID, because we were really doing it on borrowed time and emergency support along the way. So we are here, our teams are here to support the V team in the front line. I also want to remind everybody we have some really super protocols that you helped us develop, whether it was touchless retail or the Tech C and the way we're supporting our customers and field engineering work that we're doing, in addition to all of our return to office protocols. And so we have our return to office tool. We've deployed it throughout the whole United States, every type of worker and role that we have. And then we've implemented the tool as well internationally in all the countries where offices are reopened. And we have a rolling schedule through the remainder of the fall. So if you are going into the office or going to an on-premise site location, just want to put out a reminder to use the return to office tool. We literally have thousands of people using it each day, tens of thousands. So that's very exciting. And a couple of other things I wanted to highlight is that if we want to make sure all of our employees know, if you don't feel well, please don't come to the office, and use all the protocols we have to help get you supported. And so just want to say we're seeing cases approaching 30 million cases worldwide. And so still something to be taken very seriously. Use and follow all the safety protocols we've put together. And so thank you for that opportunity to give that update, Andy.
Christy, thank you so much. And of course, thank you to our HR team in terms of the transition with our return to office tool, making sure that everyone's staying safe and healthy. This continues, and it's been wonderful knowing that we have the HR team support. So shout out to your team, Christy. And as you mentioned, COVID affecting so many parts of our lives. Elections, of course, is not an exception. And today we have some pretty big news for our V-teamers when it comes to the elections, Christy.
Thanks for that. So, the Verizon Leadership Council, we've been talking a lot about how do we have the right protocols in place for our V team throughout the fall. And one of the things a lot of you were asking us is what's going to happen around Election Day? What kind of support will you have? What opportunities will you have? And from the news, a lot of states in the United States, we have a big set of elections coming up in November, and we have a state-driven election system. So each state is making protocols for how they're going to conduct the election. And so with this kind of varied plan for Election Day, as well as the fact that there might be fewer polling locations open, largely due to COVID and the concerns about large gatherings, whether states can secure enough poll workers and the like. A lot of our employees had expressed some concern about how they would be able to participate and what, if anything, were we thinking about to help our employees with that. So on behalf of the VLC, one of the things we wanted to announce is that due to COVID and all the complexities related to that 2020 presents, we are going to, for employees here in the United States, we are going to give employees the opportunity to participate, and we're going to give employees 4 hours, up to 4 hours of paid time off to vote or participate in civic activities in support of voting. And so we think this is just such an unprecedented year with the backdrop of COVID and the challenges that presents for employees to know what are all the ways in which they can vote. We know lots of states are considering mail-in voting and are proactively making that available. In some parts of the country, the voting has actually started already. So I think on this broadcast, we're going to hear about some other resources where people can help keep themselves informed. I want to highlight, this is a decision that the VLC has made at the top of the company, but the actual implementation of this will happen on a work group by work group level. And so over the next few weeks, you're going to hear from your supervisors and your team leaders how this will be addressed in your work group. For some groups, supervisors will be arranging time with individual employees. In other groups, there might be a change to work schedules that day so that employees or groups of employees will have 4 hours off that they're not scheduled to work related to when polls are open where they live. And I just want to also note that in New York State has in a number of our collective bargaining agreements, this is already treated as a holiday for our unionized associates in New York. So just highlighting, this is an overarching commitment from Verizon, and then we want people to know they're going to hear more from their leaders in their work groups over the next few weeks. And this really, we're making this announcement sitting here in the middle of September, and Election Day is not until November 3rd. And we're doing that on purpose so that teams have time to plan, leaders have time to plan for how they're going to be able to run their operations that day, and employees can take the time to plan how they can participate in the election process.
Christy, I'm watching the comments coming through on Twitter here. And, thank you, VLC. Thank you. Amazing. Love this commitment. It is really amazing. And thank you to our leadership, to our HR teams for recognizing this. And as we continue to rock the vote, as the kids say, right, Raquel? We are going to continue doing that and making sure that we have the support from our V-teamers as well. Christy, I wanted to talk to you about our volunteering as well, because you mentioned this is this move, the 4 hours, is really making sure. Look, if you need the time to vote, you vote, but also if you can participate in civic activities, a lot of that is based on volunteering, and of course, we are experts at volunteering, our team as a whole.
Well, one of the things that we know through our platform as a company, as you've heard from Hans and others, we've committed to 2.5 million hours of volunteerism. We have a volunteer portal. And then earlier this year, we made donations to the leading organizations to help fight social and racial justice. And over time, Rose Kirk and her team have been curating and identifying opportunities for employees to volunteer and add to the portal those that are related to voting. And so beyond making it easier to ensure that the V team can participate in the elections, especially with the backdrop of COVID, many other employees have said, hey, how can I help? What are other ways? Will Verizon be offering volunteer opportunities related to Election Day? And so the answer is yes. Our corporate social responsibility team is curating those activities and voter engagement and education. More information will be coming. We're also quite excited today, Andy and Raquel, to announce that we are supporting Global Citizen and their Just Vote campaign, which really encourages consumers to check their registration status, earning a chance to win exclusive experiences. And employees can visit Global Citizen's website to check their status and learn more. And as one of the corporations that partners with Global Citizen, we're excited to participate and support their campaign.
This is awesome, and again, thank you. And I can't. I mean, the torrent of comments on our Twitter feed here, and I want to read one here. We have a comment here that said, "I had already taken a vacation day, so I could be a poll worker that day." So obviously, there's a demand and a desire to be a part of our democratic process. So I mean, just a wonderful day for all of us to make sure that our voices are heard. And you may wonder, a lot of us are obviously celebrating in this news, but wondering how this is all going to work out. You will get sort of that messaging from your leadership as we continue to get closer to Election Day. So look for that. Christy, you're bringing in, back to back. Great news, on 2 consecutive days here. Do you have anything more for us?
Well, Andy and Raquel, first, it's great to be here with you guys again. I want to highlight, we started talking about COVID. So I feel like it's the perfect time also to mention the HR team's been hard at work gearing up to support another big annual HR activity that happens every year, and that is in October. And our employees in the United States will have the annual enrollment window to make their benefit elections. And I think, obviously, just a reminder against the backdrop of a human medical crisis, want to make sure that employees pay attention, know that this is coming. You're going to be receiving notice to make your elections. So please pay attention, stay tuned, look for more details. And while October feels like something far off in the distance, it's only about 2 weeks away. So I want to just put that note out there that this is coming. It's another way we want to make sure the V team stays safe and takes care of themselves.
Excellent. We will look forward to hearing more about annual enrollment in the weeks to come. I want to bring in our Gen Z correspondent, Raquel Wilson, back into the conversation here. What do you think about that news, Raquel?
It's awesome. I'm so excited to be able to use that opportunity to go out and vote and use our great volunteer portal. So thank you, Christy, for those great opportunities. I think voting is such an important civic duty, and there's really no better way to express that than to hear from our leaders of change. So here's just a handful of observations from our next 20 panelists about exercising our right to vote. Let's take a look.
The issue of voting is bigger than any one candidate, one issue, or one party. It was about people using their voices, people using their power, and voting is one of the best ways for people to make sure that the government reflects their values, reflects their community.
In this moment, it is the opportune time for us to really advance ourselves, to really move that much closer to become the America that we all deserve.
This is the sense. You want to have your voice heard, you have to vote. I've known people who walked 5, 7 miles each way. 7 miles there, 7 miles back. What to do? To vote.
Part of changing the culture around voting is also every American, every organization, every school, every leader understanding that it is part of their role as a citizen, not only to vote, but to help others vote.
What I always say, is we are the generation of we, right? And we are the most diverse generation ever. And so when I go to the polls, and you better believe that I go to the polls, right? I'm not just thinking about the people who live on my street. I'm thinking about the thousands of people I'm connected to online, right? And how my vote impacts their reality.
That a lot of Gen Z can't even vote, right? But they have such important voices and they're pushing such important narratives. So what are some ways that we can keep Gen Z involved in the conversation, keep lifting up their voices, even if they can't go to the polls?
Well, I think part of this is on the behalf of the candidates who are running. I mean, just because Gen Z are not voters, or some of Gen Z cannot vote yet, doesn't mean that they can't be a part of the process. Bringing them on as interns, as digital strategists, as people who know social media way better than the candidates, if we're being honest, is a way to ensure that their voices are still reflected in both the messaging, but also in the policy that comes from it.
It's such a privilege and a tool that can drive a lot of change. And I think when you voice your concerns and you refuse to be a bystander, then you actually spark change. And that's one of the best things you can do in this world. So I think motivating everybody to get out and vote and use their voice and their platform in whatever way that is, I think that's important.
That is one of the things that this generation and generations even after me are really realizing, the power of our voice, and that if we don't vote, then we are literally losing our voice. So we're giving up our voice.
Definitely. And you heard from in that video, across the spectrum, all walks of life, all generations, and we've got a great Next 20, Raquel, coming up this afternoon. Tell us about it.
Yes, I'm super excited to hear from my fellow Gen Zers. I might be biased, but I am very excited. Our latest Next 20 episode, Born Digital, will be releasing today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to hear about Gen Z's influence on their networking, the scale that they have that is used to promote social good and justice.
Excellent, Raquel. Thank you. Let's bring Christy back in for some final thoughts and reaction. Christy, when you see that clip and you see the excitement, and I'm sure you've seen that Gen Z excitement in the Pambianchi household there too, talk to us about what it means for all of us to come together and provide that opportunity for us to, partake in the democratic process.
For me, I just think that's one of the things that's an amazing underpinning of our construct here in the United States, which is the fact that it's a government for the people, by the people, and that only works if people participate. So I think that's really exciting, and it's exciting to see young people talking about it and realizing that they've either newly aged into that right, or they're hopefully excited to soon in the future get that. My one daughter is 17, and so she's going to miss this election. She's pretty bummed about it, but her two older brothers will be able to vote for the first time. And my younger son is only 13, so he's watching. But I think one of the things to me that's been really exciting is listening to the level of engagement that they and their friends have, and their knowledge of world affairs, their knowledge of what's going on in the world around them. And I think that's due to where we started the conversation, the level of issues that are going on in the world, whether it's COVID or whether it's the storms or other, really hard conversations, challenging societal norms as we look at how do we take our society to the next level with justice and equality for all. So I think it's an exciting time. And to be totally honest, my birthday is in November. And as a kid, once every 8 years, it falls on election day. And so I used to love to stay up late and work, volunteer, and back in the day, not a Gen Zer, with oak tag and landlines and markers, and help volunteer at various local town party headquarters, and precincts would call in the vote, and we would add up the vote for like the town supervisor or the school board elections. And to me, there was just nothing more exciting than seeing what teams and groups of people come up with. I try to lead that way. I love bringing the HR people together or the V teamers together to help co-create solutions to make our company what we want it to be. That's why we do the pulse survey. We got hundreds of thousands of you telling us what you want. And, Hans and the VLC, we actually use your input to try to guide building the best Verizon that we could be for the world. And so I think we realize these are completely unprecedented times. We know a lot of people are worried about getting sick if they have to go to lines in a group location, or making sure they understand the provisions or have the time if they live in a state that you have to vote in person. And so ultimately, when we spent a lot of time talking about it, we felt like this was a solution that was a win-win for everybody. It's going to be a win for our employees. It's going to be a win for society. We're going to continue to be operating that day, so it's a win for our customers and our shareholders. And so I think this is just an exciting day, and hopefully something that, for the V teamers out there, you're excited or happy to hear that we've cared for this. And then obviously, give your leaders a day or two of breathing to figure out how they're going to operationalize this with their teams. But we're excited, and I think it's just another example of living in the crisis and being our best Verizon.
It is an excitement that is truly palpable. Christy, the comments keep rolling in. So thank you to our leadership. Thank you to our HR team. Christy, thank you for joining us. And of course, thank you to Raquel for helping us with this episode as we wrap things up here. Of course, our thanks as well to Jeff Plowman and our network team. We will continue to monitor what's happening with Sally and the recovery efforts there as well. Before we go, I do want to mention a few other quick things here. We do have a Staycation episode. We've got the last two episodes coming out, so you're going to see the second to last right after Up to Speed here. So stay tuned if you have time. And then you will see the final episode tomorrow, New York City. So we'll be visiting Dallas today for Staycation. But I don't know, Raquel. What do you think? Are you feeling this? Maybe we can bring the band back together, the tag team again.
I think we should.
Excellent. And I just want to make sure, Raquel, that I'm with you on the whole Gen Z thing. I'm probably a few ways away, but I did have a little surprise for you there. As the kids do. Yeah. How do you do, fellow kids? So I'm doing my best to be part of the youth movement. Raquel, thank you so much for joining us. Is that what do you think?
I think we can make some arrangements for you. We'll tweak it a bit, but I'll help you offline.
Sounds good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, Raquel. You're going to close us out here, and then we're going to see Staycation. So I will let you do the honors of closing us out.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. It was so nice to be back. Until next time, you're up to speed.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I... Is that song not cool anymore? Howdy, partners. Today we visit a city found in 1841, which does make it an old town. So we're gonna take my horse to Dallas, one of my favorite cities in the Lone Star State. Now, you know what they say, everything's bigger in Texas, and Big D is no exception. Think juicy giant steaks, 55-foot tall cowboys named Big Tex, and mega parks like the Trinity River Corridor Project, which when completed will be more than 10 times the size of New York's Central Park. And did you know Dallas has 30,000 hotel rooms, which could come in handy after visiting all these cities, the campers developing a certain road trip aroma. Anyway, I reckon we check in with one of our Lone Star V teamers to give us a closer look at all the local hotspots in Dallas.
My name is Julissa. I'm actually one of the assistant managers here in Dallas, Texas, based off of the out-of-town location. I started with Verizon 4 years ago in the great city of El Paso, Texas, just a little bit west of here. Coming from a small town was definitely some adjustments to do, but I love living in a big city. October, November is the best time to come to Dallas, in my opinion. Go ahead and go to Texas Fair and say hi to Big Tex. Eat a great variety of fried food. And then don't forget to get a corn dogs at Fletcher's. My favorite place to go and have brunch, it's going to be the Rustic. It's a great ambiance for friends, family, and they have live music, which is one of my favorite things to do here in Dallas as well. Get that country night going on. And then you cannot come to Dallas without having some barbecue. So my top two places are going to be Lockhart and Pecan Lounge. So we do have a lot of great Mexican food as well. One of my favorites is going to be Taqueria Las Ventanas. So if you're in for some street tacos, that's going to be definitely a stop you want to swing by. As a community in hard times or any times, we come together and bring out our best. One of the places, you'll definitely see that. It's going to be Farmers Market. Well, that's another great spot that I would take you to find some more local vendors. I think we have taken care of my top places for you and all of our VT members to visit once you stop in Dallas.
Our Dallas musician wrote his album Welcome to Hard Times right before the pandemic, and we're thrilled to have him share more about his work. Here's Charley Crockett.
I'm Charley Crockett. That's Charlie with an EY. Crockett with two T's, just like Davy. I was born in the Rio Grande Valley, raised up in Dallas-Fort Worth, then spent most of my adult life traveling around the great land of America.
Life's a casino, I'm telling you.
I guess I see myself as a song and dance man. I think I carry all kinds of Texas music heritage in my sound, whether it be blues or soul or country or folk music. I carry all that in my heart and in my sound. And I've seen myself as somebody that takes that music kind of all over the world.
Welcome to hard times. I'm feeling low. Do you like sinning? No. Where you will be before you go.
I say the main way I communicate with my audience is by touring in my live show. You know, I'm described or viewed by the folks that know about me as a live act. I've made a lot of records. My records have typically been done pretty dang cheap and, you know, not really a lot of marketing, more about making good records quickly and then touring 5 nights a week, year round.
Take a look in my eyes, tell me what you see. Besides the bright blinking lights stretched out in front of me.
You know, Dallas is a city that made me in a lot of ways. I think walking around Deep Ellum and it being a neighborhood that has the cultural significance of New Orleans' French Quarter or Memphis's Beale Street, you know, Texas's music heritage in many ways can be drawn to that neighborhood over anywhere else in the whole state. And the list of people that come out of Dallas music is really just dizzying.
There you will be before you go.
You can get my 8-album catalog anywhere that you prefer to listen to music. I got probably about 30 music videos on the old YouTube. One of these days, by the grace of the Creator, maybe we can start playing shows again and doing festivals and stuff, you know. But meanwhile, I'm recording like a fool.
Hope you're feeling welcome to hard times.
Now, when Charley isn't writing or performing, you can find him kicking back at the Freeman Cajun Cafe and Lounge. Known for their down-home Cajun classics and local jazz bands, Charley says this is the spot to visit if you're ever in Dallas. Verizon will be paying it forward and purchasing meals for lucky customers at the Freeman Lounge, so follow us on Twitter at VZUpToSpeed to learn more about when you can score some good food. That's all for now. Time to skedaddle. So let's head them up and move them out. Until next time, keep the cows ahead of you and the sun behind you, and you'll do just fine. Y'all come back now, you hear? All right, guys, I like the belt buckle, but couldn't we sing some more Old Town Road or something? How are they gonna know I'm a real cowboy? Do we have any Pace Picante sauce? They're gonna think this stuff's made in New York City.